Hi, I'm Melissa Cote. The fastest way to achieve success is to find someone who's already done an amazing job at what you want to do, and then have them explain to you exactly what they did to get there. We all rise by lifting others.
Hi, I'm Nycki Carter, and we are the founders and owners of Insporise, a platform where we can connect wildly successful people with aspiring successful people. And over the next 30 minutes, you are going to hear from someone who is truly inspiring. Hello. I'm Nycki Carter. I am so excited. I am here with Marisa. She is the owner, CEO, founder of Momagement. She is an expert in time momagement. We are so excited to learn about her tips and tricks and hear her story. And I'm going to let Melissa jump in and say hello, and then we will just jump right into it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa, the other co-owner of Insporise, and I'm not even going to waste a minute because I am so excited to hear Marisa's story. I want to learn everything. Please proceed. I'm so excited.
Yeah, all the mom tips. Okay,
all the mom tips. We need them.
Yeah. Marisa, tell us your story. How did you start? Where are you from? How did you get where you're at? How did you become an expert in time management? We want to know all the tips. Just lay it on us.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here. So I'm Marisa Lonic. I am a mom of four, an entrepreneur, author, speaker, coach, and I help busy moms go from overwhelmed to empowered via time management strategies. So I started my business, Momagement, about 3 years ago, but even prior to that, it was sort of born indirectly. So in 2016, I was offered a job promotion. At the time, I was working in corporate America, and this promotion would require me and my twin toddlers and husband at the time to move cross country. I'm a native New Yorker, and the job was here on the West Coast in California. So I was really scared to say yes initially because I was so worried about how I'd be able to manage my time. Like, could I dedicate enough of my time to my kids, my husband, myself? And I was already struggling with this in my current role where I worked from home a lot, where I had a support system nearby, but I felt really overwhelmed by everything, even though on the outside, maybe I looked like I had it together. On the inside, I was kind of like a hot mess, right? I felt stressed, anxious, like I wasn't performing well enough at work or being the best possible mom and wife at home. And then I was feeling like resentful on top of everything that I wasn't ever doing anything for myself. So the idea of like adding to this and now moving, changing cities, it was really scary to me. And initially I turned down the opportunity. And then I was filled with regret because, as an ambitious woman wanting to level up in her career and grow financially and all the things, like this is like the worst thing to say no to, right? Yeah. But I flipped the script. I turned it around after a few days of like sulking about this. I contacted my manager at the time and was like, please reconsider me. I changed my mind. I want to do it. And we did. And we took this scary chance and we moved across the country. And when I got here, I realized that it didn't necessarily get harder. It just was different, right? It was just different. And with that challenge, I was really able to navigate and come up with practical tricks and hacks to make it all work while also doing a lot of like mindset and inner work to feel really good and in control about how I was spending my time and managing my schedule. And I also started blogging at the time where I would sort of just talk about all the things as a working mom I was dealing with. And I wrote this as really a creative outlet. It was kind of like a therapy for myself. I didn't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
And then I had my third son. And of course, things changed again. If you've ever added another baby to your family, you know the dynamics change. And during that time, I was going back to my corporate role after maternity leave. And again, I had to really level up, how I was managing my time because I had another baby at home. At this time, I had 3 kids under 4. It was a pretty crazy time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did, of course, we all do. You figure it out. And it was at that time I really decided to take that blog and turn it into something more. Because I'd always get that question like, how do you have time to do that? Or how do you find the time to do X, Y, Z? And I'm like, you know what? I have something here. Like, I really want to help other moms with this, and I can really support this community in a lot of ways. So I started actually telling people the blog existed. And then I developed a course, from there a book, and it kind of just grew from there.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing. Okay, so side note, I guess, first thought is whenever I think of mamas with twins, when you're going grocery shopping, I'm like, where does the second baby go? Like, I've got two car seats, you got one in your like front.
Okay. Yes, that is a very valid question. Well, here's the deal. Where do you grocery shop when you have twins? When you have a big family, you often go to like big box stores. You go to like Costco, right? Where the cart is very big and supports two children.
Nice.
Smart. Very smart. Okay, I have a question, totally unrelated to momhood, but when you got to the point where you took on this big leap and you're adding more children to your family, and you said, I started working on my mindset. Was that something you innately knew how to do, or did you have to learn how to do that?
No, I feel like, innately, no, because I feel like we take on how we grow up, right? How we're taught and how we're raised as kids. So it wasn't necessarily like ingrained in me to be this very like ultra positive or I always had confidence I could do things, right? But that didn't necessarily make them easier all the time, right? And I wanted life to feel easier. I didn't want life to feel hard all the time. I don't think anybody does. So I, did a lot of work on that. I followed a lot of really inspirational people. I read a lot of good books. I listened to the podcasts that lifted me up, like all of those things. And then I just learned and grew as a person, as a professional in all those ways. And I'm the type of person that I really love to learn. So even though I'm a quote unquote like expert in time management, like I still read up on this stuff. I still follow what other people are saying because I'm sure they have ideas that I can't generate,
Right. Yeah. I think I do a lot of mindset work as well. And I think that's, you just touched upon a really big key of it, is that if you're accepting that life is always about learning, and that you could be the expert on something, but that somebody else is always going to think of something just a little bit different than you. And if you constantly are putting yourself around those people that can generate even your own ideas just based on something that they say, I think that's amazing. And I commend you for, having so many other things on your plate, and your mind could be so many other places, and you still take time to continue to keep learning. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like, anybody out there can feel overwhelmed. You can have 4 kids and a job and a husband and a business and all the things like I did, or you could have a fraction of that in your life taking up your time, and you could still feel the same level of overwhelm, right? Or even more overwhelmed than I did. So it's really a choice, to be honest, in how you want to feel. I'm not saying life isn't stressful sometimes. I'm not saying like you're not busy. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is you choose. You choose whether you look at, all of those things that you have to do, or all those things that you get to do.
Oh, right? I love that.
That you're blessed with being able to do it, right?
I literally just had this conversation with somebody. I said, when a bill comes in, such as your electric bill, and you're like, oh, I have to pay this electric bill, and I'm so, I don't really want to pay this. It's like, you got to have electricity. You were fortunate enough to have that electricity. So paying the bill should be just as exciting as the fact that you had this. So exactly. I love that you said that. It's so brilliant.
I like that example too.
Awesome. Okay. So something that you had just mentioned was about continuing the education in this like time management. I think for myself as a mom, you go from like the first time mommy, you have no idea what kind of schedule you're going to have. And then you finally think, okay, I think I know what I'm doing with the newborn. And then all of a sudden your newborn's a toddler and has a new routine and new nap times and new feeding schedules and all these new needs. Do you have any tips on touching on like the next stages? Because you go from toddler to kindergartner to now I have 2 kids, like all these kinds of things that could be helpful for staying progressive with learning too in the blocks of time management.
Yeah, well, being open to learning, absolutely. I also think, I have 4 kids ranging between 7 and almost 2. And I will say they're all different. They're all different. So like even as a fourth time mom, like the nurses in the hospital were like, oh, you got this. And I'm like, no, wait, I actually don't. Like, I need your help. I don't remember what this is like. So, be open to that. Like, don't ever feel like you know it all, because once you feel like you know it all, like you kind of shut the door with being able to grow and change and learn. And that's crucial. The other thing I'll say is, planning is essential when it comes to time management. It is like a core component, being organized, being a planner. Like you need some form of this. You don't have to be crazy at planning every single detail, but you need to plan something or it's not going to happen, right? That's a given. But when it comes to mom life, especially, you need to go into that plan with such a level of flexibility, because without that, you will crash and burn so quick, like within the first 5 minutes of the day. Because what's going to happen? Your toddler's going to throw a tantrum, get you off schedule, or your baby's going to throw up all over you, or like something's going to happen that's going to get your plan off track. And if you don't know how to recover from that, and you don't have the mindset and you haven't done the inner work to really roll with it, you are not going to get very far. So having the ability to be really flexible with either the changing seasons of like the growth of your kids, or adding to your family, or even just a crappy day that happens is really, really crucial.
Is that something that you teach moms to do? Because I know for me, I only have one child. I'm not sure that I would be able to handle four. But when he was little and I was running my business, I definitely struggled with that, being able to be, because I am a planner. I'm a huge planner, but I'm a strict planner. And so when something pertaining to him fouled my strict planning, it was very difficult for me to shift gears and be okay with it and continue with my plan, even though it changed. Is that something that you teach people how to do?
100%. Yeah, it's a whole, I just actually was talking with one of my clients about it, who's in a 4-week program that I'm running. And it was, it's a video in the program. It's something we definitely go through.
I love it. You actually had mentioned that there are a lot of videos, right? You said you have tons and tons of videos. I'm excited. I will link all of your information, your course, your website, all your social handles on this video so people can stay in contact with you and learn all about all the things that you offer. But as a sneak peek, I think we should jump straight into your 3 tips that you have for our mamas that they can take away from today or incorporate into their schedule, and just, let our audience know a little sneak peek or a little peek under the hood of what they can expect from you on your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And my whole thing is I like to teach really quick, actionable steps, because if there's anything you don't need as like a busy mompreneur or business owner, or just mom in general, you don't need complexity added to your life. Like I, in the past, had tried like many different planners and systems, and they were like taking me so long to fill out that like, it was like, oh my gosh, who has 30 minutes a day to like sit here and plan out? Like I need like a quick system that works. So I like to teach in a really direct and like no BS sort of approach, because I know how valuable and limited our time is for that as busy moms. So the one thing I'll say is, well, let me ask you a question first. What do you think are the 4 words that moms say every day when it comes to time?
I don't have time. Is that 4 words?
Yes, I don't have time.
That was mine too.
Okay, good.
Nailed it. Yes. Yeah. So here's the deal. And I was guilty of this, you guys. Like I used to say this all day, every day, nonstop. And if you do it, like you're not alone. A lot of people say this, moms, non-moms, a lot of people say it. And then a lot of people believe it because they're saying it out loud so frequently. And here's a really simple, quick thing you can do to rid yourself of that. Instead of saying, I don't have time, start replacing that phrase with, it's not a priority to me. So let's exemplify this for a second. So if you say, I don't have time to work out, And then you start replacing that with, it's not a priority to me to exercise or to work out. One of two things is going to happen. The first thing that'll happen will be, you'll be like, all right, well, I'm comfortable with that. You know what? Right now in this season I'm in, I got a baby who's not sleeping through the night, or I'm transitioning back to, work after maternity leave, or my business is just going through a really busy season these next 2 months, and it's just not going to make it to the priority list right now. And you immediately feel like a little bit more comfortable and less guilty, because you're now owning the fact that you're making a conscious decision to not make that a priority in your life. You're okay with it, you move on, and it kind of doesn't take up any more space in your head. Now, the opposite of it is you feel everything but comfortable. It makes you feel really uncomfortable. It makes you feel really icky. And you're like, oh no, I don't like this feeling. I'm about to make it a priority, right? Like, what do I have to shift around to make this work? My health is important. Working out's important. Dropping the baby weight's important, whatever it is. And I'm going to make it happen. And then you just go back and you figure out, you move some things around, and you'll be amazed that you can fit that in.
Mm. Yeah, as soon as you said that, I instantly got the icky feeling like, who says that that isn't the priority? And even if it's not working out, I think even in self-care in general, like
anything,
15 minutes to yourself. I remember being a new mom and you're like, when do I shower? Like, I shower when the baby showers and I nap when the baby naps. Like, yeah. So I think if you say like, is a shower my priority today? I definitely see how that would be very motivating to new moms too, specifically.
I loved the exact way that you phrased it, because just in that workout scenario, I thought like, I could justify that. I could definitely justify that and say, nope, that's not a priority. But if my son came up to me and said, hey, mom, I have a test for school and I need to study, I couldn't imagine myself, normally I could say like, oh, I'm really busy right now, honey, I'll help you in a little bit. But I couldn't imagine myself saying, that's not a priority to me right now. And I was like, I would literally stop everything I was doing and do that just based on that tiny little word tweak. I absolutely love that. Brilliant. I know I keep saying that, but you're just with your tips alone, it's just brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good one. And it's so simple, right? You could start doing it right now, right? So, okay, so that's one. The other one is about multitasking, because I know this is often a very big part of mom life, mompreneur life, working mom life, all of it. So do you guys multitask?
Oh, wait, can I say my favorite example? I was like, you are not a true mompreneur until you change a poopy diaper in the middle of a sales call. Like, oh, I've been there at least a dozen times.
I make it known to everybody I am not a multitasker. So I'm so excited to hear what you're going to say, because I would love to be able to be a multitasker.
Oh, I love this. We have like opposite ends of the spectrum here. Okay, cool.
Good.
So, most experts, I think, out there, and you guys sound like you probably follow a lot of similar, like really insightful people out there. So most of them are going to tell you not to multitask, right? Because why? Multitasking takes your attention away from something, right? It doesn't let you have your full self in the task you're in. So I can totally 100% agree with this. I can get on board with it. I think it's coming from a really good place. I also think a lot of these experts who tell you not to multitask are not sitting in this seat, are not in my shoes, are not like living that mom life we're living right now. Okay. So with all due respect, I'm a regular mom over here. Like, I don't have a live-in housekeeper. I don't have a personal chef. I don't have a team of nannies. Like, I don't have all those luxuries that I think many of the experts may have. So I keep it very real. And I have a mantra when it comes to multitasking, and it is this. You multitask the mindless, you solo task the mindful. Okay, so you multitask the things you can do on autopilot, the things that don't require your full brain power, the things that you could probably do with your eyes closed, all of those things. What comes to mind when I think of that? I think of like household things. I think of things like packing lunches, or like cleaning dishes, or like even prepping a meal if you're not following a recipe or anything like that. And I like to pair those, or tell people to pair those with things that bring you like a little bit more joy, perhaps in that moment, because let's be honest, like not everyone likes to fold laundry, like I personally don't. And we have so much laundry in this house. So pair it with something that you actually like pair it with listening to a podcast, pair it with catching up with a friend on the phone, pair it with something else. Not that you would like mindlessly be catching up with a friend on the phone, but you can so easily do that task while with your hands doing something else.
Yeah.
Right. And then when it comes to solo tasking, these are the things that require your full brain power. These are the things that are important to you that you want to be all in for. What is that? What does that mean to you? It's different for everyone, but things that come to mind, is it a family dinner where you're like not on your phone during dinner and you're really engaging in conversation with your family? Is it working on a creative work project? Yes, do I think situations arise, Nycki, where your baby needs a diaper change and you happen to be on the phone? Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's happened to all of us. Do you want to plan to be necessarily like with your kids around when you're trying to take a sales call? I don't think so. It's stressful, right? Because those things are both really, really important to you and you want to give them your full attention when you're around them. This is exactly why during the pandemic, so many women were stressed and overwhelmed to capacity because we expected all these women to continue working and now take on the responsibility of taking care of their kids full time with zero support, zero schools, zero help. So it didn't work. It was a proven experiment given to us right there.
Right. Wow. Yep.
I can attest to that.
Right. I was going to say, my son's homeschooled and he's been homeschooled. So it really didn't change too much, but my clients, I noticed that exactly what you said, like they got so much more on their plate and it wasn't that they hadn't prepared for it. Like they weren't ready to combine those things. Like you said, like multitasking, and combine those things because it was using all of their brain power in these different areas and it just became too overwhelming. So that is a really, really awesome tip. I feel like, knowing the difference between those two things, knowing which tasks really need your full attention, and knowing which ones you can finagle together. Again, I keep asking this because I'm super interested in your courses. Is that also something that you teach where somebody could tell you these are the things that, or you give a list or something of like, these are the things that I have to get done in a day. And how do I know which ones are important in this list and which ones can go in this list?
Yeah, we actually do something called the 3-day test in the course. And for 3 days, the mom or the person taking the course will time track sort of how they're spending their time all day, every day, down to sleep, how many hours of sleep they're getting. And then we look at that, and we think, and we ask ourselves, well, are we multitasking this? Is it something we should be? Or maybe we could be, kind of depending what it is.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I think my favorite tip out of that entire thing was pairing something that can be done quickly, like cleaning your kids' room and listening to a podcast. I definitely I put my headphones in and do my Audible, do my laundry, clean the kids' rooms. Like I do try to pair that, but it's enlightening to hear that you're pairing something that would be kind of unpleasant with something that is pleasant to level out that momhood, because I think that brings up the endorphins, which in my mind would bring up like longevity and not burnout. And I know that we can all feel like I've washed the same plate or the same cup like 83 times in the last week. Why is this, so it turns off those thoughts, but it's nice to hear that kind of like brought forward with the mindset to replace it that way. I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if you don't have that, you can't keep going, right?
Yeah.
Like, don't you want this for the long haul, right? We can all have a really stellar Monday, but if we don't have those things in place internally, by Thursday, we're going to crash and burn.
Love it. Okay. I'm ready for tip 3. I'm excited.
All right. Tip 3. Oh, I have so many options to choose from here. Let me.
You know what? I actually have one more question.
Yeah.
So you've talked about support a couple of times when you first were moving, it's being like, I don't have a nanny team. Most of us don't have personal chefs just laying around. So when you actually said that you moved across the country, my first thought would be, what are your tips on getting support? Because if you don't just have grandparents that live next door that are totally there for, what are your tips for finding support, finding good support? bartering? Like, do you have any tips on that whole process?
Yes, a lot of tips. So, okay. So one thing that we do in the program that I love is we do a communication quiz. And this helps you determine what kind of communicator you are, because once you know how you tend to communicate, you can easily adapt your style to communicate with others. And what's the whole point of communication? It's getting the outcome you want from that conversation, right? And when you're asking for support, what do you want? You want like a big, fat, enthusiastic yes of someone to help you. You don't want to feel like you're burdening them. You don't want to feel like you're asking for something you don't deserve. And as moms too, it's really hard to ask for support because we've kind of been painted this picture that we should and be able to do it all ourselves, right? So that's one area that is helpful, but let me just get back to it. So there's several ways to ask for support, right? There's communicating effectively with your partner if you have one. That's one way, right? And not doing it in a way that feels like nagging or feels like, I don't want to say a bad word, but feels like kind of like, gosh, I don't know. It's not coming to me. Like you're not doing anything and you have to, like in that way, right? You don't want to do that because that's not going to get you very far. And it's just going to kind of create a bigger wall between you two. So that's one way, communicating effectively, including your kids in your support. Kids as young as like 2 years old can be helping you do things around the house. Now, is it going to be the way you want it? No. Is it going to happen as quickly as you want it? No. But listen, if you want to be a good parent, part of good parenting is teaching kids to be independent and responsible. And you have to start somewhere. Like think about where you started your business. Probably didn't look as good as it looks right now, right? So just getting to that level of being okay with like a little bit of non-perfectionism there. Obviously, you can pay for support, right? We live in the US, we live in a time like the 21st century where things are very convenient and accessible and available. Like we can basically get anything and everything delivered to our door right now. We can automate things that come to our door. There's lots of people out there that are happy to support us, in exchange for money. So if you have the ability to budget and use some of your funds toward paying for some support, I would highly encourage that. Maybe you take off even just one or two things that are the most cumbersome to you, right? Or the most time consuming, or the things you really just dislike doing the most, And then bartering, absolutely bartering. There are other people out there that need the same thing you do. And if you can swap that service of like, hey, I'll watch your kids this weekend, you watch mine next weekend so I can get out and do these errands, or I can go out on a date or whatever, I think that we automatically, like our first inclination is to be like, I don't want to bother that person, but if you find someone who wants it just as bad as you do, that's no bother. They want it.
Right.
Can I touch on that? Because that's actually exactly how I grew my business. So anyone who's listening to this and maybe they're new and they feel like maybe they're bothering someone. I met a stay-at-home mom really early on, and she wanted time for self-care and the gym and grocery shopping by herself. And so we would trade 5 hours with me and 5 hours with her kids. And, I would go sit at Starbucks and do like my Zoom meetings and my sales calls. And for 5 hours, she would go do what she needed, get her nails done, or, appointments and dentists and appointments and things like that as a stay-at-home mom, when a working husband, she didn't have a ton of time to do for herself. So I definitely think that people should not underestimate how powerful that was, because there were a lot of people that were very happy to barter with me early on, and it really helped my business, and it helped her too. So I definitely think it was a really great situation for me.
Yeah, it's a win-win for sure.
That's so interesting, because what I've noticed is Nycki and I have totally different situations with everything that you're saying. So for me, I'm a single mom, and for me, I felt like same kind of concept. Like I don't want to bother somebody, but it was almost more like I should be able to do this myself. If I'm a single mom and I'm saying like I'm empowered and I run a business and I can do this, like I shouldn't need anybody else. And just even you saying, both of you saying like, it's okay to go to somebody else who also needs it and do that. It almost felt like an acceptance that I let myself accept that idea, versus like being in my own head and saying like, oh no, that's not something I can do. So that's really interesting that you both um, accept that concept as like an average thing. And I saw it as something like, oh, I could never do that. But just knowing that, it's easier to digest now.
Well, and think about too, I like to have this conversation too. Like, think about how good you feel when you do something nice for someone else. Like, it's equally as gratifying on the giving end than it is on the receiving end.
Absolutely.
You know, like the endorphins, like everything about it, you just feel like your whole day gets brighter when you do something nice for someone else. So, like, you're helping that person feel good.
Right.
You know, like, think about it in that way too.
Yeah, I love that. Great tip.
I actually heard Marisa say something that made me think of Melissa about tasks for, sorry, just like throw out your business, Melissa, but like tasks for your kids. So mine are 5 and 3, and my son has a speech delay and some things like that. So we're working on some routines with him, but I know Melissa is facing teenage years with her son. He's a preteen, and she's like, what do I do with him? So as soon as you said that, I was like, oh, I bet Melissa's like, oh yeah, let me think about some of the things that make sense for him and his routine and helping me. I know that she's like living that right now.
Yeah, it's a transition. He's turning 12, and we're at the point where, like, is he a baby still? Do I do everything for him? Does he now, do things for me? Like, how does that look? Is he doing the dishes? I don't know. So yeah, I'm very interested in all of your programs. They sound so intriguing. I'm gonna pick your brain.
Love it. Okay, so I feel like that was a bonus tip. Do you have a third tip ready for us, Marisa?
I absolutely can. Okay, so I think it's really, really crucial to have clarity on how you want to spend your time. Because without any sort of clarity, what's going to happen? Like, you're going to end up getting a few minutes of free time here or there, or even longer than that. And you're going to end up, if you're not sure how you want to spend it, you're going to end up filling it with something meaningless, right? And you're going to feel like you were so busy all day, and the end of the day is going to come, and then you're going to be like, but I didn't actually get anything done. Has this ever happened to you where you feel like you've just been running around all day? You've been doing all the things for all the people, and then either you look at this very overwhelming to-do list, or you've got it all up here in the very heavy mental load, and you're like, I don't feel any lighter. I don't feel like I can cross anything off here, because you didn't really have your clarity on what your priorities were for the day. So I like to encourage people to stick with three goals every single day. That's it. Hold yourself accountable for just 3 things. If you have a really, really, really long list, that's fine. Pick 3 things from it. Because if you try and go off this really like CVS receipt length of a list, you're going to get like analysis paralysis, right? You're not going to be able to like know even where to start. It's going to feel really overwhelming to you, and you're going to end up just like pushing it to the side and like scrolling your Instagram instead of actually doing something.
Yeah. Sucked into the time zone of social media and little things like that. Yep. Totally know how that goes. Okay, I feel like that was a ton of information, super powerful. But the amazing thing for me is this is just surface level of what you're going to hear from Marisa. So if you're listening to this episode and you're like, I need more of this in my life, and I'm overwhelmed with Pinterest, and please don't send me any more planners, I think everything that you've said have been super actionable. I like start the year off with my highlighters and my planners and 17 Pinterest calendars, and 6 weeks in, you're like, okay, this is actually not sustainable. I'm definitely hearing that you have better systems. So I would definitely want to encourage everyone to go check out your programs, learn more, stay connected with you. As some closing thoughts, I would love to know who inspires you on a personal level, on a business level, kind of all of the things encompassing being inspired.
Ooh, that's a good question. I like to surround myself with inspo like wherever I can. So whether that's like putting a really adorable photo of my kids like on my cell phone, so every time I open it, I see it, or having like an inspirational quote pop up when I open my laptop. So I love that. I love having that sort of all around me. As far as an individual, I really love Brene Brown. Have you guys heard of her?
I love Brene.
Yeah, I've read like all her books. She's got a new one coming out in November, I believe.
Wow.
She's got a podcast too, and something really like half funny, half awesome, I think, that she said that I recently posted on my social media was, don't try to win over your haters. You're not a jackass whisperer. And I think it's so funny because it's so true, number one, right? But I like to relate it back to time because for me, when it comes to time management, I like to say like anything that's taking you away from what you actually want to do with your time is a hater in your life. Whether that's a distraction, a person, like a toxic environment, all of it, right? So really try to minimize your exposure to that or to those individuals if you really are serious about like living your best life and really just like using your time effectively, because it all comes down to time. Everything we do, everything we want to do, like we need the time to actually dedicate to it, you know? So I love that quote. I think it's like a little bit funny because I'm kind of a little bit funny, even though I probably haven't been in this episode. But you'll find that like if you read my books, they're a little funny.
You're about me on your website. I remember reading it. I don't know what the end quote was. Your favorite quote on your website was good.
Oh,
what is it? It's so funny.
Be a badass with a good ass.
I was like, okay.
Time management exercise for that. Squats. Lots of squats.
You're like,
Can I give you a tip on how to get a nice booty, you guys, and not spend a lot of time on it?
Yes.
While you're brushing your teeth, do squats.
Yes. Yes.
Do it.
Okay. Nice.
That's my new thing. Yeah. I have to say, I thought of something when you were talking about everything comes down to time, and I don't want to not say it. My favorite thing about time that I tell everybody, I say that time is absolutely the most valuable thing that you can give to another human being, because it's the only thing that we can't make more of. We can make more money, we can make more friends, we can make more excitement. We cannot make more time. So if you are dedicating your time to something or someone, then that is a gift that you're giving them that you can never make more of.
I love that. I got chills when you said that.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, well, I'm so excited. I have a feeling that you are going to be flooded with lots of moms being like, tell me so many things. All the things. Again, please introduce yourself, say the name of your website so people can check it out. I will absolutely link it here, but for audio reasons, I want them to know where they can find you. And then we will have to depart and see you soon, hopefully.
Yes. So again, my name's Marisa Lonic. My website is mamaworkit.com. It's MAMA workit.com. And I am at the handle at Let Mama Work It on Instagram and Facebook.
Love it so much. Marisa, like we said, time is so important, and we thank you so much for dedicating yours to us today. This was absolutely amazing and so enlightening, and I can't wait to check out everything that you have and jump in on it.
She's like, I'm gonna go straight to the website right now.
Yeah, you're right to it.
Yeah, and thank you both for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and I hope your audience finds it really helpful.
Yes. All right, well, thank you so much. We will chat soon. Bye.